here today with Brett Hopper, who is the Service Design Manager for Deloitte Digital. Hi Brett, thank you for being with us today.
Thank you.
So how are you seeing the multi-channel landscape evolve?
I think over time recently there's obviously more channels are coming into play. There's more and more channels that we have to consider when we're designing for omni-channel experiences. I think for the last while organisational thinking towards omni-channel has been about making them all connected, making them automated, making them more efficient. I think we're starting to see an evolution from just getting all those pieces in place now to looking beyond that around personalisation, anticipation, around customer needs.
So what are you seeing as some of the trends of those sort of personalisation elements that are coming into play?
I think for the trends that are coming through at the moment around personalisation, I think individuality is a big one, like playing to the strengths of the brand. How's that supported within the organisation? How are you enabling, or not just providing digital tools and data to frontline staff, but how are you actually empowering them to be able to stray from, I guess, the script to be able to create more sporadic moments of delight for customers.
Yeah, and what do you think are some of the challenges for organisations who are trying to move into omnichannel or get that whole, sort of automation around all those different channels right?
I think the challenge will be it's becoming a baseline expectation from customers that everything works together and talks to one another. I think they're expecting it's personalised, they're expecting it's relevant, timely, and anything that they do on one channel they should be able to pick up on another. So I think the opportunity or the challenge is that runs the risk of becoming, although consistent, impersonal. So it's how do we shift beyond that? So how, if that just becomes a baseline expectation, how do you then start to anticipate wants and needs across channels? How do you go further than that? How do you begin to build in personalisation and anticipation so it delivers on or above the experience that they expect?
Yes, right. So can you share some tips for us in terms of how you should be designing for an omni-channel experience?
Firstly, you've got to have a great understanding of who your customer is. I think secondly, remember it's about people, it's not about channels. You connect all your channels up, you can automate those channels, but it's actually understanding what the outcome is, what the goal of that person's trying to achieve and focusing on that as opposed to the channel itself. I think the other one is consistency is fantastic. So having consistent branding and messaging across channels, whether it's common UI elements, clean handoffs between applications is fantastic, but I think that's just a baseline expectation. You have to move beyond that to create an omni-channel experience.
Yes.
Otherwise, that's just connecting everything up.
Yeah, right. So what are some of the opportunities then that presents for us?
I think the opportunities that presents for us then is to be able to anticipate needs for customers, be able to, with omni-channel, it's more than just connecting those channels per se. If we get everything hooked up together, it's what can you be doing, whether it's before, during or after the main events, where you can really engage with your customers, feel like you as a brand understand them and create those moments of delight. So just going beyond just having everything connected and working, which I'd say is an omni-channel strategy, but moving more towards an omni-channel experience around what you can do for people.
Yeah. Can you point to some examples where you think that omni-channel is being done really well?
I think companies, Disney, for example, right? When people go to Disneyland, there's the actual physical space there in themselves. There's physical products they wear on their arms. There's digital elements that they interact with and face-to-face interactions with staff. I think they do a good job in making that a seamless experience across all those different channels, from buying tickets to lining up in a queue to having Mickey Mouse come up to you. And I think what they even do above and beyond that is creating those little moments of delight by having Snow White come and speak to your daughter or your kids or something like that. I think they're examples of companies who are really leading the way.
Yeah. Well, this has been great to have you with us. We've been here today with Brett Hopper, who is the Service Design Manager for Deloitte Digital. Thank you very much for being with us today.
No worries. Thank you.